Welcome to the L&D Blueprint, where we provide the building blocks to great customer service, learning engagement, and development. Join us as we discuss our growth blueprint. Welcome back. How exciting to be back with all of you for our second episode of the L&D Blueprint. This episode is all about empathy versus sympathy. And as always, just a reminder, the purpose of our podcast is to provide insightful and relevant information that is useful to our customer service representatives within our own internal team, but also to assist other frontline workers within this industry, customer service, with skills and professional development, and also for those who support frontline employees who are out there at the front lines. So we're very excited to have you for episode 2. I'm back with you. Again, my name is Frances Otano, and I'm super excited to be here. And also we have back with us Carolyn. Come on the mic.
Hello. Yes, back with you all. Excited to share tips and tricks, insights. And finally, we also have our guest with us this week, who is Andrew.
Hello, everybody.
Woo!
I'm Andrew. So I've been with Intel just going on 2.5 years. I have a very diverse background. Been all over the world, seen all kinds of different things, but through and through, just dealing with customers everywhere I go.
We're ecstatic to have you. And also, if you look at our credits, you'll notice that Andrew is our official, what do we call it?
Like graphic designer,
Yes.
extraordinaire. I mean, technician. He does, honestly, he does it all. Yeah. I joke with Andrew that he needs to write a book. He's mentioned that he's had a well-lived life, and that's for sure. He's got lots of great stories.
Awesome.
All right. Well, fantastic. Yeah. So as Frances mentioned, we're going to be talking this episode about empathy versus sympathy. So a lot of people tend to interchange the two, or they might mistake sympathy for being empathy whenever their goal was to get to empathy, right? But we're going to cover the distinction between the two, empathy versus sympathy. We're going to talk about why we want to strive to enact empathy, and then a few tactics that we have to share with you all. Let's go ahead and dive in with a few definitions at the top. So, according to the Oxford Languages Dictionary, sympathy is feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune, whereas empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. So we do definitely want to have empathy in our line of work.
Yeah, so I love to make this point when we're teaching this to our customer service representatives. I like to think of it, I like this visual, right? If you are in the airport, right, and your airplane is your apology, first, before your apology takes off, you need to clear the runway. So empathy allows us to clear that runway so that our apology plane can take off. Because when people in a customer service setting, right, when we think about when we employ or deploy empathy, it's usually because something's gone wrong.
Empathy just simply allows for that genuine understanding, gives you a lot more meaningful interactions with people. And it's a very, very powerful tool, not just personal growth, but professional as well.
Yeah. So sympathy is understanding someone's suffering, more cognitive, keeps a distance between the speaker and the listener. And then empathy is experiencing the other person's feelings. And there's a key word here. Empathy validates feelings, right? And as humans, we're creatures of emotions, first of all. And also, we want to be recognized. We want to be validated. And empathy allows us to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if listeners, you have had a chance to listen to social psychologist Brene Brown, but she is fantastic. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
So if you want to look up her work, she's also had an amazing TED Talk. But like I mentioned, she's a social psychologist. And according to her, empathy brings people together because you're feeling that emotion of the other person. You're getting on that level with that person. Whereas sympathy can actually create a divide. And sometimes it comes across a little bit patronizing.
Brene Brown, she put it like this. She said, empathy is like noticing someone is in a hole and you're crawling down and you sit beside them and you say, I know what it's like down here. You're not alone. And sympathy is more like, wow, it's bad down there, huh? Dang, that kind of stinks, right?
Well, and it reminds me when, and this has happened to me, and I'm sure to everybody listening, you call customer service and you go on for 2 minutes about something that went wrong.
Mhm.
And the first thing out of the rep's mouth is, what's your customer number? Or
Right.
what's your account number? So there's not even sympathy quite there yet. They gloss over exactly what you told them, and then they proceed with, "I apologize for the inconvenience. Can I blah 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 blah." That's not an apology. Goes back to you're showing pity.
Patronizing, right? If I come off immediately with that, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I kind of sound a little bit like a
A
robot,
robot.
it's like that doesn't really help the situation, and I just kind of feel patronized. Like, you're saying you're sorry, but you don't mean it.
Take this scenario for example, right? You have an employee. They come to their boss and they say, "Hey, I need to have a difficult conversation with you. I just had a family emergency. My mother was in an accident." If the manager just like looks up and says, "Oh, okay. Well, what do you need?" I mean, they came to you with something very personal and there was no emotion.
Right.
Now take that on the other hand, where you have a manager that goes, "Hey, oh my gosh, are you okay? What can I do for you?" Like they acknowledge what you're going through. They show you the same emotion back. So you've
Mhm.
created employee retention because now they're going to trust and they're going to value their position. So it's a better workplace and culture because now the team sees how you are with them.
You know, from a leadership perspective in any organization, we have to provide the same empathy to our employees that we expect them to give.
Mhm.
So this is about modeling the behavior that we're expecting from them.
We are going to see the benefits of including empathy in our daily conversations with all of our relationships. And hopefully by now, obviously, with some of these examples, we can see that in our personal life, yes, empathy is fantastic for building a relationship, with your partner or someone who has a bad day and they come in and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry you had a bad day." Little pat on the back,
Yeah.
but
Here's
getting
an
on their level.
emoji.
Yes, exactly. So not only can we use it, of course, with customer service as we've been talking about, but in relationships with our managers and our bosses and our employees and everyone. My husband and I were going to a wedding that our friends were getting married in Ireland, and we had saved up for like a year and a half for this trip. We were so, so excited. Like 10 minutes before boarding, the flight gets canceled because of, some situation or another. So, of course, there's a mad dash to the customer service line, right? And so we step up and we talk with a young woman who, we're trying to say, "Hey, when's the next flight that we can get out on? Like, could we even drive to Chicago? Because I'm in Indianapolis and try to make a
Mhm.
flight, whatever." Just absolutely no empathy at all. We were trying to say, "We're going to miss an entire day of our vacation." Nothing. Just like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that, but there's nothing I can do." And we were just, I mean, we're standing there about to be in tears. And then luckily, in a last ditch effort, we said, "You know what? Let's go to this airline's front desk where you check the bags and let's just see if this other customer representative can help us." We walk up to this woman and she was an absolute gem. Right away, she goes, "Oh my goodness, no, we can't have you miss a whole day of your vacation. Absolutely not. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out what we can do. Like, yes, I'm so sorry that you had that interaction." And I understand how frustrating that would be. Let's get this fixed up for you. Ultimately, she ends up helping us, and we were so grateful at that point that my husband, he's like tries to slide her a $10 bill to be like, thank you so much for your
Like a
help.
tip.
Yeah. And she was like, sorry, I can't accept that. And he was like, you know you can. He like puts it under like a little card on the front, like a brochure. And she was like, no, really, that's against my job. And he was like, oh, right, sorry. Anyway, but clearly you could see we were just like absolutely jazzed about the whole thing. So she was our savior. So but empathy was the start of her conversation with us. And that's so what we needed in that moment, even to just move
Mhm.
forward and problem solve.
Yeah, I love that.
So I had a phone company I was with for 20 years. I had an issue with a transfer that the company decided that they were going to do. I had zero signal everywhere I went. I'd be in the middle of calls, they just drop automatically. And I tried to call and fix it, and I got nothing. Was like, oh, well, we're in the middle of this. I'm sorry. It's just how it is right now. It'll get better soon type deal. And I was just like, after 20 years, and that's how you get treated, it wasn't okay.
Mm.
So I started looking around. I went into a shop, and the lady I interact with, she just simply wanted to know, hey, what's going on and what brings you here today? I let her know. I said, look, I'm looking to transfer. And she, first words out of her mouth is, I understand how frustrating it can be when you make those important phone calls and they just get dropped, or you try to use your phone and it doesn't work. I understand. Let me go over some programs with you and let's see what works best for you. And it was all empathy and about me and uh, her just trying to help.
Frances, do you have tactics that you want to let us know about how we can build that empathy in our conversations?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned Brene Brown because I had written down 4 steps that she outlines for empathy. So the first one is perspective taking, right? I love this because it's not your perspective that you're taking
Yeah.
other people's perspective, right? It's not about how you would react, it's about how the person in front of you is reacting, right?
Mhm.
And just because you wouldn't react like they are reacting doesn't mean that they shouldn't or wouldn't, right? So you're taking in their perspective. Then you're staying out of judgment, right? You know what? Get it. Again, I wouldn't react that way, but they are. So let me validate how they're reacting, right?
Mhm.
And you recognize emotions, which is the third step, out of others. You're going to pick up on those emotions. You're not going to ignore them. You're going to confront them, face them,
Mhm.
right? If
Emotional intelligence.
emotional intelligence, I could see that this is upsetting to you. If this would have happened to me, I would be upset too. That's an empathy statement, right? And this is one that you can literally write down and repeat back to
That's
a customer.
that's a
And
gold one. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right? I can see that you're frustrated. If this happened to me, I would be frustrated too. Here's another great statement that you can do that recognizes emotions. You say, you are correct. You're right.
Oh, you know how many times I want to hear that in a day? I love that. Yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
It's
This
okay
shouldn't
to
have
be upset.
happened. Yes,
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. This shouldn't have happened. You should be upset,
Mhm.
right? You're validating those emotions. You're recognizing them. You're allowing them to feel the way they feel. And then the fourth step she talks about is communicating that recognition, right? Again, those key phrases that are going to provide that validation. And I like to say you listen generously. Listen to
Mhm.
understand. You listen not to respond, but to understand.
Andrew, he also teaches this a lot in his classes that he leads.
Yes.
Is there any tips, tricks that you have, Andrew, that you share with your groups?
Absolutely. Yeah. Francis, you said it best. Actively listening generously. Listen generously. Stop
Hmm.
thinking of what you're going to give as the answer
Mhm.
and just take in the info. Another one, avoid arguments, right? Avoid I'm sorry's, okay? Instead, I understand.
Right.
So,
If you just say, I'm sorry, and you're not even saying why you're sorry, how
Mm.
I mean, it's not authentic, right?
It
So
comes back to that sympathy, that kind of patronizing effect a little
yeah,
bit, right? Yeah.
If you start off with "I'm sorry," you're being sympathetic. You
yes,
haven't even touched empathy yet.
Definitely.
love it.
Just to recap our conversation today, we've talked about the difference between empathy and sympathy. A lot of times we kind of confuse the two whenever we really want to strive for empathy, especially as frontline workers, or honestly, just in building relationships with people. So, just to clarify one more time, sympathy is feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune, whereas empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. And that key difference, again, is emotion.
Yes. And so we strive for that empathy, but we have to model that in our industries, right? We have to provide that to our own internal customers, which are our employees, the people who report up to us, so that they can model that with our customers.
Moving forward, I challenge every single one of you to try these three things. Okay. One, start with actively listening. Again, Frances, you put it well, listen generously. Okay. Number two, dispense the judgment, right? It's okay that they feel that way, right? And as soon as you recognize, which is our third option, as soon as you recognize that emotion, okay, communicate that to them and let them know that it's okay.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
powerful statements. You know, I agree with what you're saying. This shouldn't have happened. I'd be just as frustrated as you are. You are correct. Well, thanks to our guest speaker today, Andrew. We love having you. So happy that you were able to join us today.
Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you guys having me. Looking forward to your future episodes. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Make sure that you like, subscribe, share. We sincerely appreciate getting the word out. And feel free to join us on our Instagram as well at InktelLD.
And thank you for allowing us to be a part of your growth blueprint. Until next time.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
This episode was directed and produced by Frances Otano and Carolyn Voigt. Graphic art by Andrew Byers and theme music provided by Lemon Music Studio.